Okay, so if you're anything like I was back in high school, you're probably working a ton, you're training a lot, but you're not improving as fast as you know you need to. And in the back of your head, you're like, okay, I just need more reps, I need more years, months, whatever it may be. But you know at the same time that you're running out of time if you want to get the offers that you think you deserve. Okay, so if we haven't met here, well, that's what I do. I work with center mids across the country to make sure the work that they're putting in actually turns into the results they need, because I don't know if you've looked up the stats, but about 1% of all high school players even make it to the D1 level. That is, I think that's the stat. And an even smaller percentage of those guys even touch the field, right? So it's very difficult to get to that level and have the career that you want. So you need to make sure you're making a change now. Okay, so we're gonna run through this. I got some notes here over just this main point where it's only when you add direction when you get success. Okay, so it's hard work plus direction is when you get success, but hard work alone and you don't get the success that you think you deserve, right? So for me, when I was back in high school, like I was the guy, like I'd always stay after extra on team practice. I would show up even early. I would be on the fields on the weekends. Like even when I had high school, we were training literally every single day of the week. And sometimes I would have games on the weekends with my club, right? So there wasn't much moments that I was, just chilling, like not super busy, but I was still the guy that would show up, get my touches in, and I'd be the hardest worker during games. But there were guys that were doing way less than me and who didn't even care about their soccer career as much as I did, who were taking my minutes. And in the end, the coach was choosing to play them more. At ID camps, there were guys that were getting more attention than I did because I don't even know, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, well, I'm such a hard worker, I'm so disciplined, right? And then I had to figure out when I got to the college level, and every guy there worked hard, that there were ways to do things differently to make sure you actually got the results that you needed, right? Because hard work alone, you can run into a wall 1,000 times, but the guy that just chooses to walk around it is always going to beat you, right? So it doesn't really matter how hard you work if you're not doing the right thing. So I learned when I got to that level, like I said, the guys, they were training differently. They showed up with a different mentality. They weren't thinking of spending so much time, like 60 minutes, 90 minutes at the fields every single day. They were managing their body, getting short sessions in, but they were doing the stuff that the D1 level actually required. When I was in high school, I'd play a lot of two-touch, do a lot of ball mastery, I would do like those tight cone drills, and I would feel sharp, but in like those 20-yard passes or like actually receiving the ball from a D1 center back with the D1 opponent on my back, I wasn't prepared for that because I wasn't doing the right things. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how you can make sure you don't make that mistake, because if you're a sophomore, junior, and especially getting into senior year, you are running out of time. You only have so many days to prepare before you're getting thrown into a level with 24-year-olds and dudes that were ex-pros and transfers who've already played at the college level, okay? So we'll run through that. I've got a few steps here in the first part to make sure that hard work is combined with direction. How we can get direction is, well, it's the plan, okay? When I was in high school, I would plan out nothing. Like I knew that I would go to the fields the next day. Like I was like, okay, tomorrow I have some time in the morning, I'm gonna go out there and get some work in. I didn't know what I was doing, how long it was gonna take, or what the point of it even was. Okay, so the first step is, instead of, I'm gonna draw out a little calendar. So instead of it being Monday and then you showing up to the fields on Tuesday and you just like deciding when you get there, and usually what happens is you just end up doing the same drills that you've been doing, getting the same results that you've already been getting, right? If you don't plan. But instead of just planning like this day, like say on Tuesday, we're gonna do break lines, passes, or something like that, right? Say on Tuesday we're doing that, like cool. That's not enough. What the guys that I do, or like how we work it in my like remote program, is we go out 4 weeks at a time. And you may be asking like, well, like Chris, I don't really know my exact schedule 4 weeks at a time. Well, like they don't know either, but we come up with what we call like an ideal week or like an average week where we say, let me get rid of these, where we say like Monday, we have team training, Wednesday, team training, maybe Thursday, maybe you have off, Friday, and then Saturday you have a game. You're getting off Sunday, right? So we take this and like if the guys do know that their schedules, like they know on week 2, like they're training on Wednesday and Friday instead or something like that, like we'll obviously put that in. But what you need to do is take your schedule, make sure you have the next month at least blocked off. That way you're not just being so reactive, like, oh, like shoot, this week I'm traveling and I didn't plan for that, so I've only gotten so many touches in working on my weak foot, like, you know what I mean? Like this is where you just get reactive, and that's where you just get into this cycle of you're working hard, but you don't have direction, so you're not even getting anywhere. All right, so say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is. Well, Tuesday, this is where we're doing that, like the break lines, passes, something like that. Again, like I don't know you as a player, I don't know exactly what session you need, but as an example. And then maybe Friday, we're doing, since you have a game on Saturday, you have to do this a lot lighter. What I call this is just a match day -1 session. And then like the guys know that they go in there, they see their Google Sheet, and it's a lot lighter, and it's more like intentional for what they need to focus on the game. But pretty much when you build this out and you have like different things here, and you have like match day +1, or like, you know, you have all this stuff built out throughout 4 weeks. Well, now you get to see your calendar, you get to see what work you need to get in, and then you just do the work, right? If I gave you like the exact system on every single thing you need to do every single day from now until 12 months from now, and you just had to execute, it'd probably be 10 times easier to execute, right? Because we waste a lot of time with this decision making. It's wasting our energy in a way. That's what a lot of players are doing. They're wasting energy thinking about things that they don't need to think about. If you just set the week, set the month, then you just execute, okay? And also, like, the second part of this is, call it top-down training. So a lot of guys, especially like the ones that they first joined my program, they came in, they're like, yeah, like we're training every day, but it's more just like what feels right, or like what drill I saw on TikTok the day before, and I just go out and try and get after it. It's still an hour session, but it's just reactive. I like to say that word. It's like reactive. We can't be reactive if we want to develop, especially when you're in season, because it matters even more that you have a clear plan. All right, so top-down training is, instead of just, again, we'll go like, draw this pyramid. So instead of just hanging out like down here, and this is where you get like your just like random cone drills. This is where you do like 2-touch or like juggling. This is stuff that you just, like, when you go on autopilot and you don't know what else to do, you just end up doing at the fields, right? You need to have a top-down approach, and what this means is, instead of hanging out down here with the reactive stuff, we're looking up here, and what does that look like? Well, you've got your technical and game moment. So I call these like the technical and the game moment pathways. So your game moment, for example, might be better positioning to switch the ball. I'll put that. Okay, so you want to have better positioning in games to switch the ball. Well, what do you need to work on for the technical side? Well, it's probably that range of passing. Because if you're going to be really good at turning and switching the ball, well, what do you need to practice? Well, you need to be practicing turning and hitting that ball. Okay, so you have these two pathways, and now we're going to go down, and this is just like 2 of them, but we're going to treat these as like the top of the pyramid, and we're going to go down. So what does that mean? What does range of passing mean? Wouldn't you be better like with that turn, so we can actually get into the range of passing motion? Wouldn't you be better in maybe even like the speed and agility? All right, the speed and agility, so we know like how like we're comfortable checking in with speed and then changing directions fast. Most guys don't even do that at all, and they don't do it nearly enough for their position-specific moments. What else is something? Maybe like the driving forwards with the ball. So if you're going to hit their range of pass, well, you need to be good at turning, driving force, taking a few steps, beating the defender, and then hitting that pass. You see, there's multiple things that come from this higher up range of passing. And then we get to the actual drills. But see how we didn't start. So the drills would be like the actual cone setup. We're like, okay, we need to work on this position. So we're going to do the speed and agility for this. We're going to work on our turning like this. We're going to hit the range of passing in this motion to work on that for the game. So now instead of starting down here at the bottom and just trying to like guess, like it's almost like we just like didn't have any of this above. And now we're just trying to focus on the drills and just guess what's above us, like guess what the point is. We're not doing that. We have an actual intention, and I could do the same thing here, like on the game moment side, on like what you're watching in film, how we can implement that in the games, what you can try in team training, stuff like that to make sure, again, we go back down to the action. So for like a game moment, if you want better positioning to switch, instead of just like telling yourself, okay, be better positioning, like what does that mean? No, you create actions. You're like, okay, 10 times this team training session, I'm going to drop down hard to receive the ball. Or like 5 times in this game, I'm going to remind myself to check my shoulder. And those are little things getting us towards this bigger goal. But again, we're not starting here, and like drills for game moments would be like actually like doing the action in the game, like actually making that movement, actually checking your shoulder. But we're not just doing it blindly, right? Like a center back probably wouldn't be just randomly checking their shoulder unless it's like a certain situation where they're getting pressed by a winger. So as a center mid, like why would you be doing certain things? Like there's probably certain things you're doing, you're wasting energy out there when it's not necessary for you, it's not optimal for you in your game. Okay, so this is that top-down approach that I guess is what we call it, top-down training. That way it's not just random drills. And the second thing, or I guess third thing here, I'm gonna focus on is this key idea. Work rate. Oops. So productivity is more important than work rate. I'll give you an example. Like if you take two guys here, right? You got person A, and you got person B. And person A, we'll use like waking up as an example, because most people like they're like, oh, I'm up at like 5 a.m. I'm up at like 4:30 a.m. I'm such a hard worker. They post on their story like, oh, I'm getting after it, and they get their validation by their work rate, which is fair because they're putting in the work, and they should be again respected for that, because work rate isn't something that everybody has. However, I'll run through this example on how they're actually just falling behind. So they wake up 5 a.m., train 5:30 a.m. and then they're pretty tired because they only got to sleep by like 11 last night because they have a social life, they have a family they were hanging out with, maybe they catching up on homework. So now they only had 5 or 6 hours of sleep. This 5:30 a.m. session. So this 5:30 a.m. session is pretty bad because they're tired, they're all over it, but still they got up, got after it, cool. And then 6:30, they're here and they do some stretching, right? But because their body is so dead from the session that they didn't get to recover properly from the night before because they didn't sleep well, their stretching like doesn't really help their body. Like their body actually just needs more rest. And then they go the rest of the day and it's cool. And then because they woke up so early at 2 p.m., they take a nap, okay? And then they wake up at 6 p.m. because they overslept, they missed their alarm, and then they just had those 4 hours in between, and then they went on with the rest of their day, okay? You probably see what I'm getting at here. So on the other side, person B, they don't wake up until 8 a.m. However, when they wake up, they're well rested because they went to bed at 11 the night before, right? Because they had a family, they have a social life, whatever it is. And this is obviously like maybe a Saturday or not a school day, but this can all apply for if you do have like school. But they wake up 8 a.m., 8:30 session. But what's different about this one and this one? Well, this one is a smiley face because they got well rested, right? And they probably also follow what we just talked about. They're very intentional about their training. That way they got it even further ahead. But here's the thing. This guy on day A, he probably trained, maybe he trained for an hour, This guy only trained for 30 minutes, right? Because he knew what he needed to do. He didn't waste time just, I don't know, kicking around or doing the drills he usually does. And then that way at 9 a.m. he's able to stretch. But his 30-minute session is actually better than the hour session because he's well rested and he's way more intentional. He knows what he needs to do because he went through that top-down like training approach. Okay, cool. So he did the stretch, and that was a good stretching session because his body likes him. And then at 2 p.m., because he's well rested, well, he gets another session in. It's a short, quick, like 15 to 20-minute indoor like juggling and ball mastery session. Okay, cool. 3 p.m., he's watching film. 4 p.m., finish his homework. Okay? So we see, well, this guy napped for 4 hours. Keep in mind, the good thing about person A is he got to post on his story and he got to have that validation from his friends and family. He's like, wow, you're up early? Like, you're really getting after it. You're going to be a pro, right? And I'm only like being kind of straightforward in that because I used to be that guy that wanted that validation. But you see what happens. He just lost these 4 hours because he had to take a nap and he didn't get as good of a session. And now we're both at 6 p.m. Now he has to eat dinner, right? Actually, maybe he doesn't even have time to eat dinner because he wants to do his homework. So he's got to finish his homework before. Cool. And then because he's still groggy from his nap, well, by like 8 p.m., he's just laying on his phone. And then later, he's like, oh, shoot, I haven't had time to eat dinner yet. And at 10 p.m., he's eating dinner. And then the sleep is not as good because he ate dinner like an hour before trying to go to bed, so he's not able to wind down. And bang, well, again, back to this guy, 4 p.m., finished homework. And then maybe 6 p.m., dinner. And then like 8 p.m., social life, maybe like because he got to hang out with his family, his friends, whatever. And then 10 p.m., sleep. And they both had the same amount of hours in the day. And I hope you guys are following along for that part. But the point is, this guy on the right, even though he didn't work as hard as many people say, he did shorter sessions, or like he was more like intentional, he wasn't grinding. He got way further ahead than person A. And if you stack this over 365 days of the year, well, that's going to look even more exponential. So person A is going to be up here, or I'm sorry, person B, and person A is going to be like this. Right? See the difference? Which would you rather be? Probably this guy. Probably this guy over there, right? So it doesn't really matter that you're working hard. And the question I have here in the notes is like, what is the real intention behind my work? Right? If you don't have real intention behind the work that you're putting in, you're getting lapped by other guys, especially the guys that are in my program. It's a really good community of guys who are all understanding the importance of not just going out to expend energy, especially because they're literally in season training like the majority of the week. Like we gotta be careful with their legs. They're lifting with the team. They're doing a lot of different things and they're traveling with their club team at the same time. Okay, so we don't have time to waste as far as like following these bad habits or like thinking like having to take an extra 10 or 15 minutes at the fields to consider what to do for training. Like, we don't have that luxury, right? And in season is actually way more important than out of season for training because it is the chance for you to catch up and separate the gap from everybody else out there who's just saying, I'll just wait until the summer to do my individual work. I'll just wait until the summer when I have more time to do film. I'll just wait until the end of the season to talk to my coach to get that feedback that I've been waiting for, like what I need to fix in my game. All right, and if you don't want to be that guy that's just getting lapped, well, I have a 12-week, it's a remote program for center mids, working like for guys. You can see the videos, there's guys across the country going through it, and it's to make sure that you're not gonna fall into that trap so you're prepared for the next level and you're dominating right now. Instead of waiting until that moment where you realize you have no offers, no play time, and you're not on the team that you wanna be on. And then you're like, okay, like how do I figure this out? Now you're paying for some recruiting service that's just gonna try to scam you and your family out of your money because you're D3 talent asking for a D1 offer, right? If you were D1 talent, it'd be pretty easy to get D1 offers. Okay, so that's what I focus on with the guys in my program. Again, there's gonna be a link in the first line of the description of this video you could check out and apply to work with me one-on-one.